in a sense, when it's a smaller group of people, I think you can afford to do certain things that you won't be able to do otherwise. And also the advantage of a smaller church, it feels more like a family setting than in a big church where you have, it's more formal and this and that. So, for the communion service today, I'd like to make it a little bit different, if you don't mind. So, I don't know if you know a song. The title of the song is I Lay My Sins on Jesus. Have you heard that song? No? Would you like to hear that song? It's a beautiful song. It's in the hymnals. So, Sister Vicky, Brother Roland, if you don't mind helping me, you thought that you'll relax? No, not yet. So, 298. 298, I lay my sins on Jesus. 298, and let's see if we can follow. It's a simple song, has a beautiful harmony, and the words are just wonderful. And let's sing verses 1 and 2. I'll play with. So let's play it like in slowly andante. It's a beautiful song. So let's see how it goes. Song. I have discovered the song as I was in Fresno, and since that time, it's just a beautiful song. If you hear the music and if you read the words, it's just a beautiful song. It's actually like a prayer. It's just a prayer. As we continue with our meditation this morning before the communion service, if you have a Bible again, please open your Bible with me in Matthew chapter 26. And reading verse 36, then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane. And as you know, it's a Thursday evening. Jesus and the disciples, they just celebrated the Passover. And Jesus and his disciples are getting out of town. Why are they getting out of town? In the old cities, in the old towns, the architecture of the towns made it so that houses are very crowded and roads are very narrow. Even today, if you go in the old Jerusalem, not the new Jerusalem with buildings and freeways, but in the old Jerusalem, the streets are still very narrow, the houses are very close to each other, and people live in very close quarters. In those days, it was not unusual that you have multi-families living in basically the same space, kind of. So privacy was a big issue. And especially if you want to have some time, quiet time for yourself, it was actually difficult. So Jesus often, as we know, he would leave the city and get out of the city to spend the night in quietness and solitude by himself. And he did this again. And by the way, how many disciples are with Jesus at this point? 11. Judas is not there. He has already made his choice. He's not with the 11. So is Jesus getting out of the city in this place called, in this olive grove outside of Jerusalem. And the name of Gethsemane means actually the olive press. Simply because the hill was with a lot of olive trees, and at the bottom of the hill there was an olive press. We'll give a few details about that later. And as we read, he said to his disciples, sit here while I go and pray over there. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. So Jesus goes out, the disciples are with him, he leaves how many of them on the side? 8? 8 plus 3, it's 11, right? Because Judas is not there. So he leaves the 8 of them on somewhere in the garden, and he takes with him the 3. Who are the 3? Peter, James, and John. Do you remember of any other circumstances when Jesus takes with him Peter, John, and James? When? The Transfiguration. That was another similar situation when Jesus goes by himself on the mountain for the same purpose, to be in a very close connection with God, right? And by the way, a very important part of genuine Christian life are these moments of loneliness and solitude. And Jesus gives us an example. And I think the example is very, very valuable for us that we live today in an age bombarded with information, right? I was at a tire shop this week because I had a nail in a tire. And for the 40 minutes I was there, it was just rock music and jazz music and rock music and jazz music, and all the time, bang, 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 bang. Then you go to Walmart, and the same thing. Anywhere you go, it seems that your brain is bombarded with information, or either music or a TV going on, or something is happening. Jesus was looking for loneliness and the deep and very personal communion with God. And I believe we have the same privilege. And he's there again with Peter, James, and John on the mountain transfiguration. And Jesus invited them for a very unique purpose. Jesus knew what was coming. Actually, if you read the Bible, before the Mount of Transfiguration is the first time when Jesus actually made known to them that he is going to go to Jerusalem and suffer. That's the first time. And he takes them with him on the mountain to prepare them for the events that are coming. But they go on the mountain, and what happens with the disciples? You remember? They had fallen asleep on the mountain. Witchcraft, someone is doing. When they all gave up on Christ, had a lot to do with their, or an application for us. We fall into temptation and we collapse under crisis because the spiritual life, it's weak, and in a sense, we are asleep, as the parable of the virgins describes at one point the church. And Jesus said to them,